As orchestrators, using sound design in our mockups can be a daunting task, and I know this from experience. I'm not a sound design guy at all, and sometimes when I'm trying to decide whether I should use sound design in my music or synths in general, I get a little bit overwhelmed. But there are some simple ways that you can actually incorporate sound design into your mockups to make them fuller and just sound a little bit more robust. So in this video, I want to share with you one simple technique that I do on quite a regular basis to really take your mockups and push them to that next level using some simple sound design. So let's jump on into that, and I really hope you enjoy it. If at any point you want to check out my complete composing and orchestration workflow, I'd love for you to check out my free workshop down below in the description called the Complete Composer's Framework, and we'll walk through step-by-step how to go from the initial musical idea all the way to the polished final master. So in case you want to see my full process from start to finish, you can check that out down there. No strings attached, it's completely free, and I hope you get a lot of value out of it. So with that being said, let's kind of jump on in and check out this example. All right, so this is the session that I decided to pull up here for this video. And just for a little bit of context, this is actually the opening track for my new album that I'm working on at this moment. So it's gonna be a song, there's gonna be vocals I'm gonna be singing, but basically I wanna focus at the very beginning of this piece. So I'm gonna play for you the first few bars just so you can get a sense of what it sounds like. It's more of a soundscape thing, and then I will kind of talk about what I'm doing here with the sound design. So let's have a listen. All right, let's stop there. So that where we just stopped is actually where the verse begins and where the vocals begin. So the simple technique that I want to cover here is basically using a sine wave as a sub bass. Now, just really quickly to go over that, when we talk about producing sound, there are different waves, like different shapes of frequencies that create different qualities of sound. So the sine wave is the most pleasant sounding, I think. It's like the basis of a fat, warm sound at the very bottom. So if I play this a little bit, like that really is the basis of a lot of just fundamental frequency bass lines, right? If we change it up a little bit, right, that sounds a little bit more video gamey. Let's try this wave right here. Right, a lot more scratchy. Maybe this one. That one is definitely very video gamey, and this one here. Right, so a lot of sound sources are based off of these different types of waves, but the one we use a lot in orchestral music as a little bit of foundation is the sine wave, because it's so non-intrusive. It just settles really nicely at the bottom. So that's exactly the purpose I used for this mockup. I wanted something that had a really solid tonal foundation to it, not just with percussion, because percussion comes in later. I wanted to establish sort of a pad feel first, but have that bottom end, that low end filled out first. So this is what it sounds like if we take away the sub bass. So I'll just play everything without the sub bass. Have a listen. Right, so you can still hear there's that low C. This is in C major, by the way. So you can still hear that low C, and that's coming from these low strings from a chopless arc. Right, so you get that acoustic orchestral feel, but I also wanted that additional support. So with the sub bass in there, this is what it contributes. Right, so to me, that difference it's negligible, but it is there. So if we maybe solo up the sub bass and the low strings together, right, I feel like that sub bass is adding an additional octave underneath those low strings to give it some extra support on the very bottom. And for me, that's the most important thing for something like this, where the soundscape really is everything. I'm trying to balance out all the frequencies, by the way. So because these low frequencies are being covered taken care of. Like you can see C0, C1 by the low strings and the sub bass, that allows me the room to play around with the mid-range and even the high frequencies as well. So you can see these chords here, they start around C1, but a lot of these chords go up into like C2, C3, so around the middle C register and even higher as the piece progresses, right? So the bulk of what's happening in the mid-range is due to this air orchestra, which is from Time Macro, from Orchestral Tools. A lot of air, as you can see. So it's like a sort of a sound design patch based on the orchestra. But it is orchestral sounds. It's real orchestral sounds. And now as the mod wheel goes up, we're hearing more strings, more vocals, right? It comes in with more tonality there. And so altogether, with the sub bass here lending that bottom end, this is what it sounds like. One more time. And also, by the way, I'm adding in an additional string pad here with the air orchestra just to get some definition to the mid-range, not just the airiness. Now I get the electric guitar coming in. I also have some cinematic booms here as well for percussion. Yeah, and I just want to quickly mention this track right here as well. So the low strings octaves and the sub bass are just holding that C the whole time for most of this verse. But I also wanted a sort of fat bass that is more audible and not just felt. So the patch I use here is also from the same library as the cinematic booms, and this one is called Big Bam's Cinematic Bass. So that one kind of sounds like this. Right, I have the legato turned on there so you can hear the slides between the notes, but by itself it sounds like this. Right, and if we layer that in with the sub bass, let's see what that sounds like. So here you can feel the sub bass at the very bottom. Right, it's more like a feeling, not really heard that audibly. Let's see what the big bass adds in here. Right, and then let's bring in those low strings as well. Right, so this motion here, by the way, like going from the tonic to the dominant up to the tonic, this is very intentional because I want the bass line to be kind of felt. As the guitar is being played in the high register, I also want there to be some playfulness, like some back and forth between the high frequencies and the low frequencies. Hence why I wanted to do this sort of movement in the bass. So guitar and then bass. Da-da. Back down to the low C. Da-da, da-da. Guitar again on the top, and then da-da, right? So there's a bit of interactivity there. And that's the idea for this arrangement so far. But yeah, sorry, digressed a little bit. The main thing I wanted to touch on here was just the addition of a sine wave acting as sort of a foundational element, sort of accentuating the harmonic bass line that you might have in your arrangements. So this would be pretty common in, like, let's say a chorus, a big climax to a piece where you really want that full arrangement to come in and everything sounds balanced. The low end can clog up really easily, but having a sine wave is probably the most straightforward way to add some foundational low end without really clogging up your mix. Because a sine wave literally is just that. It's just a sine wave, and instruments, like real instruments, have way more information than that, like lots of overtones, lots of ways it interacts with air in the hall wherever it's recorded. So sine waves are super straightforward. You literally just layer it in at the very bottom, outline the bass that you already have, and it'll get you some thick low end really, really easily. And that's the tip. So hopefully that helped you. Hopefully if you're already doing this, it maybe reinforces that concept a little bit. And if you haven't tried it, let me know if you have, or if you will try it. I would love to hear from you. And yeah, I'd love to get your feedback on that. So thank you again for watching. Again, if you want to check out my complete composing and orchestration process, definitely check out the workshop down below in the description. It's completely free. It's about 45 minutes or so, super valuable, jam-packed with actionable advice and information. So if you want to check that out, you can access it for free down below in the description as my thanks for checking out this video today. Really appreciate it. I'll catch you in the next one, and I'll see you very soon. Take care.